All right, I'm back. And so we wrote both our front end back end, and we wrote our front end so we could figure out our back end. And we could have just focused on back end, but I think that that's where we would have ran into, I mean, we just would have done it in a different order, but I'm just trying to get everything dotted so that we have everything up front. One thing that I think that we should do before we start implementing our backend is making sure we really define what these JSON schemas are for our endpoints. That's the database schema, but this stuff here, right? And so that's what I want to do. And so I have Cascade here on the right-hand side. You open it with that button there, and we have chat and write. I want to stick with chat here. And what I want to do is say, like, I need to expand my API endpoint documentation so I can exactly know what the JSON response will be returned for each of these endpoints. Can we step through each endpoint in the, I'm just going to do @ here and just help the backend tech spec. Okay, so I'm just helping it know where that file is. We could use a different one. I'm going to use Claude Sonnet because I'm having good results with that. And so it's analyzing the backend file. I found GitHub Copilot terrible working with Claude. It was better with OpenAI's ChatGPT. But it's going to go here and analyze the API endpoints. And so that's what we have it doing here. I'm hoping that it will step by step go through each one and give us examples, and then I can just approve each one. It's taking a few seconds. I'm going to pause here and wait till it's ready, okay? It's back. It took a little bit of time, but now it has some information here. And it has a lot, so I guess it was worth the wait. So here it's just talking about what changes it could make, but I want to walk through each one. So we go back here. We have the study session. Let me just see here. Okay, so this is each one, right? So I can review this and say, okay, do I like the JSON returned? So maybe what we'll do here, instead of having it like this, we're going to go through each one of these here and do this. So I'm going to grab this code here. I mean, I kind of like what it's producing. Oh, it actually did kind of what I asked it to do. I mean, I like the changes. Maybe we should just tell it to apply it. Hold on here. Can we do that from here? Let's see what happens. Let's say apply. Apply. I don't like that. Reject. I don't like that. That's just confusing. So, I mean, if we did it right, we could probably get it to work correctly, but I just want this to not mess anything up. Because when you have this much stuff, it might get a little bit confusing. So I'm just going to, we got to go through each of these anyway, so we're going to just review them individually, okay? So I'm going to go here. It's just interesting that it started structuring the way that I would have structured it. Okay, so we have this here. We have study session, ID, group ID, created at study activity, group. That looks good. Yeah, we want to have those IDs in there just in case. I don't know if we need to wrap it in study session, as that endpoint's going to know already what it wants. And so I'm going to go ahead here and just take out one layer, as that seems a little bit superfluous to me. So that's good. We could also do group ID and group name and keep it really, really flat if we wanted to. So I might just do it that. Again, it's up to your preference. Because we're not going to bring in more information, but there's nothing wrong with the way it's being displayed. But I'm just trying to flatten it out so things are just less confusing. Because then you also have to think about like the SQL query, because it doesn't have JSON functions like Postgres. And so doing those nested stuff might be a little bit of a pain. So I'm just trying to make it easier for it. We're going to go to the next one, which is study progress. This is fun doing this one by one. It's super, super fun, isn't it? And so now we have return study progress. We'll copy this. The other thing is that we probably have to reference and keep reading our other ones. We have total words reviewed study, correct words, incorrect words, accuracy rate, study rate. That doesn't look correct to me. That doesn't look correct. So I'm going to go ahead and select this text here. And I'm going to go here to chat. this does not look correct based on our front end technical specs. It's not cross-referencing it. So that's kind of annoying. Now I got to scroll up and go find that other section, but it's going to analyze that. It's okay. I don't want it to edit it. I'm going to save this here. It's getting confused. And so this is actually what we want. We don't need mastery progress. We don't need that there because that can be inferred from the other two values, right? So it's a bit confused. We don't need mastery progress. I'm going to go here just say JSON response. So it knows exactly what it's supposed to return, JSON response. Two. I think like this is 2. I think our levels are a bit messed up here. I'm just trying to make it a little bit easier, so I'm just going to adjust that there. And that way we don't have 5 going on in there. So right away you saw that that one was not accurate. I don't really know if we need the descriptions in here, but we can bring them in if we want. So I'm going to go back all the way to the top here. So it says, returns information about the most recent study sessions. Sure, we'll bring in the human text just in case. Okay, and then we'll go to the next one. Return study progress. Please note that the front end will determine study progress based on progress bar based on total words and available words. I think these are a little bit too wordy. I would probably like reduce them, but it's okay. We'll leave it alone for now. So we have this one, study progress. The next one here is quick stats. Total words, total groups, master words, recent accuracy. This is not correct. So I'm going to grab this one here. You can just tell by looking at it, it's not right. This is quick stats, right? One thing I should have told it is like cross-reference your stuff with each one, but we're going to go through each one anyway, so. I'm going to, yeah, we want that to be JSON response, that's right. This is not correct if you were to check the front end to cross-reference what should be here, okay? Total mastered count. Yeah, I could just tell that these are wrong. So it's a little bit frustrating because now we'd have to go cross-reference them, but what I'm going to do is say, and it's also we gave it so much to do that maybe that's where it ran into an issue, but you know, you keep forgetting to like, say, sorry, your API endpoints have not been properly cross-referencing what is needed for JSON. Can you please redo these ones, redo the expected JSON response for these endpoints while cross-referencing. Okay, we'll do that. And so now we're telling, I'm just going to see if we can do it in bulk, but again, the more information you give it, the harder it can be. It's nice when it thinks about each part individually. I notice when we're on write, it usually does that. It'll tell us each step because it has to do something, but if it doesn't, that's totally fine. We'll give it a moment here. It does take a bit of time to run, okay? All right, so it's back and it's produced a list. Sorry, the API inputs have not been properly cross-referencing to ensure what's needed. Can you please redo the expected? Oh, that's what I wrote. I'll help you understand all these endpoints by cross-referencing them. Based on this stuff, cannot edit the files. Okay, you didn't show me the changes, and you are in chat. You can't edit files. Okay, sometimes it gets confused. I think it's because it's both the write and the chat one. But the trade-off here is I can switch between them very quickly. So go back to the top. So we have study activities ID. That does look correct. Okay, so we'll grab this one here. Copy. We'll copy this. We'll paste this. So that one looks good to me. JSON response. We will still have to double, triple, quadruple check these because you never know until you do them. But we will go here. I'm just going to, again, make this a little bit easier. I know we're doing this all manually, but sometimes manual is the best way. And so we have study activities. We have study sessions. We can do the pagination that way, I suppose. That is one way to do it. That's fine. Yeah, we could do it that way. That looks like what I wanted, so that's good. Then we have study activities. Oh, right. That's the request. Okay, but that's just saying what the required parameters are, right? So required parameters, that's already clear. So there's no response to have here, right? Request params. So you have group ID here. These are both integers, integer, there we go. So that one's a little bit different. That makes sense. And then we have the response JSON. JSON response. Again, it's getting a little bit too excited. We don't really need, what it's providing, we don't really need to know when it started. We just need, actually, we just need the ID returned. Because we need the ID to pass to the other one, and we could return the group ID. It's not really necessary. We don't really need the group ID, but we can. Maybe we should do that, group ID. Because we might want that to pass on, but that's really all we need is the study activity ID and the group ID. The next thing is we have API words. Bring this indentation back to this level here. And we didn't write it up here, but this one would also have the same thing where it's like 20 per page. And so now we're on to API words. Japanese, Romaji, English, correct parts. So what it doesn't have here is the parts, which is what it will need. So in order for, I'm going to leave out parts for now, but if you want to use the typing tutor thing, you actually do have to have the parts, and that has to be solved. Parts makes it a lot more complicated, but maybe that should be handled by the typing tutor app, and that could be a separate thing that we solve. So I'm going to leave it alone for now. But I just want you to know that if we don't implement it in here and you end up using this and not the Python app that I built, it's just not going to work, okay? we have get API words, Japanese, konnichiwa, romaji, konnichiwa, looks good. Correct count, that's right. Pagination's fine. Okay, that's good. We'll go on to just say what this is. This is response JSON, good. Fun stuff. I'm just gonna change these out for now so I just can get to it here quicker. And the other thing is the JSON response. Let's copy this. That's going to speed us much farther along. And then also I'll just get this in really quickly. Work smarter, not harder. Okay, great. So we have those in. Let's go up to here. I don't have it for this one, so I'm going to grab this one here. And we're going to go ahead and grab this. Well, actually, you know what? Can we just hit the insert button? That'd be a lot easier. Insert right here. Oh my goodness, that's so much easier. That's so much easier. You know what? It's not that it's hard. It's just the fact that like this editor is like constantly trying to insert things. It's kind of annoying. So we have API words. That one's correct. Okay. Again, it has groups here. Did we not define in our front end that endpoint? If we go over here, if we go to here into our words. No, I guess it's all part of the same one. I don't remember defining like a word groups. So that would be how we would have to do it. We'd have to display it like that. That totally makes sense. Okay. Going on to our groups here. I guess I missed this one here. This is API groups. Yep, that's correct. So we'll say insert. We'll go into this one here. We have ID, name, stats. Yeah, there's only really one stat, so we'll do that, but we'll say insert. That's totally fine. We're on this page here. This is groups ID words. I don't think we need the group ID name here. That's kind of redundant. So I'm going to insert that here because it already knows from another endpoint what it is. So we're going to take that part out. I kind of wish that it just said, instead of words, it just says items. Because then we know in a more concise way, like what's expected here. For anything that has pagination, I'm just going to call this items. And that's one little consistency thing that we're going to make easier on the front end. Same thing with this one, items. Okay, good. So go back down to here. Now we're into study sessions. Activity name, group name, start. That looks correct to me. I'm going to insert this. I'm going to take out the group and we'll put in items here. We will go to our next one. And this is the study sessions itself. Reviewing it looks correct to me. We'll go ahead and say items. We'll go down to the next part here. And we have this one. ID, activity name, group name, start time, end time, review items. That's correct. Yeah, we'll go ahead and insert that one. There's like a little stats section, and we could have broke it off into its own JSON one, like a JSON object in there. I don't care. We'll just leave it like that. We have words. That looks correct to me, so we'll go ahead and bring that in. You have to be really good at remembering what it is that you want, but I seem to be doing okay so far. This is words, double checking, good. It doesn't say here, but like it is pagination with 100 items per page. We could probably just say like somewhere, like it's always that, but it might not actually always be that. So let's go ahead and do that. Now we have reset history. This is the... I mean, we should always define like what's happening here. So yeah, we can absolutely do that. That seems fine to me. Insert. There's no anything to do. It's just literally that. It's just you do that. We'll go here and say insert. That's good. Now we have our request. Technically, it requires more than just that. So we'll say request parameters. We have correct. Word ID. ID, which is our study session ID. This is integer, Boolean, yep. I mean, technically this is the payload because it's in the URL, so we don't, I guess it is correct in that sense. Request payload. Request params and request payload's a little bit different. I probably should have called it payload in other places. I think it'll still be fine. And here returns back whatever we want here. It doesn't matter to me. Well, actually, no, this one actually might. No, I'm not sure if it matters because I haven't built any apps yet that it does matter. So maybe it will matter at some point, but right now it does not. So go here and say I have success, word ID, session. Sure, why not? That seems fine. And so basically we've gone through here. It looks good in terms of it. Let's see how this looks. So if we click on this little key button here, we can kind of see our API. And by the way, just so you know, this is my 4th time writing this all out. And this is not a big deal. Like for me, it's just when you build app after app after app after app for like 20 years, you get used to just rewriting the same thing. Even our architectural diagram that's all messed up because somehow there's a student that got edit access and they just kind of blew it away and made a big mess of it. I'm going to just make it again, and it's not a big deal, you know? And we might even update this API based on because we made this, we might make an architectural diagram of this afterwards for fun. But anyway, now we have our full technical specs laid out. And so now that we have that, we are ready to go and implement the stuff. The only thing that's missing from here is that there is some stuff that's not related to the API, but it's like stuff that has to be done to get data into the database, right? So maybe that's something we should talk about here. So if we go over to this one here for a second, it looks pretty good. Words, Ruby group, study sessions. Oh, did we miss study sessions? Did we not fill in what goes into study sessions here? Words, word groups. Oh, I think we might be missing. Oh no, they're here. Okay, it's just a bit hard to see. But we have our API endpoints, right? But we might want to have some like background tasks. So I'm going to go here and background, or it's just like scripts. I'm not sure like what they call these, like, but we got scripts. Anyway, the point is they're like called tasks, like scripts, like tasks. So one thing that we might want to have here is initializing the database. Yeah, basically like that. I'm not sure. What does, we'll go over to chat here. I'm going to make a new chat. And we'll say, I just, again, just talking to it, but like, if we are, so Ruby has rake and Python has invoke. What does Go use? I just don't know. Mage. So the traditional tool is make. This is a make, rake, build tool specifically designed for Go. I like that. It uses the YAML syntax, provides dependencies. I think I want to use Mage. Let's say Mage tasks. This is a Mage is a task runner for Go. Let's list out possible tasks we need to in order to for our Lang portal. So we have initialize database. We'll initialize the SQLite database. The data, and actually one thing I should go up here, back up to our data schema here. So our database will be an SQLite called words. No, I'm going to call it words DB. That will be in the root of the project folder of Backend Go. And I don't know if this will cause us issues, but I'm going to rename. I don't think it matters. No, I'm going to rename it to underscore. Sometimes these hyphens give us trouble with folder names. I know I did the other one with hyphens, but I just want to not have pain here. And so I'm going to rename these to have underscores instead. We'll go down here. So this task will initialize the SQLite database called words DB. I don't have to tell it twice. We'll run a series of migrations SQL files on the database. Then we have, I don't need a run server, but I need one for seed data. This task will import JSON files and transform them into target data for our database. So we might need to describe these a little bit more. I do have a very specific structure that I want for importing data. I'm going to have to go to the internet for this because we have it somewhere here in our GitHub project. So I know I've already defined this here, and I'm just doing this off screen. I'm going to grab it very quickly. It should actually show up in the Exam Pro one. So if we go over here, Exam Pro Co. And we'll go into the repository here, and we're looking for the Free Gen AI Bootcamp at the Exam Pro Co one. And if I go into Lang portal in here, into our backend Flask, we have in here seed data. And so here's an example of seed data, right? So I'm going to copy this one, and I'm just going to simplify it, right? So I'm going to just do this here. JSON. I'm not going to worry about the parts right now because that's something that the other like apps that need it should actually have it, right? So we have this as an example. So the task will import JSON files and transfer them into a target data for our database. All seed files live in the seeds folder. All seed files should be loaded. Okay. There's that. So there's that, right? In our task, we should have a DSL to specify each seed file and its expected group word name. Okay, so I'm actually kind of changing that one. A DSL is a domain-specific language. We'll see if that works there. This task will run a series of migration files on the database, right? I don't know, like does Mage, I'm not sure if Mage has, or sorry, not Mage, but does Jin have a migration framework built into it? I don't know. So I'm going to go ahead and ask that. When you new search configurable. I don't want this pop up here. So does GoGen have a way of handling migration files like Rails? We're using SQLite. And for the Python one, we wrote it by hand. We didn't use anything special. So they do have some stuff here. I mean, this is what we're going to probably do. So for this one, for the mage tasks, we'll say that migrations will live in the migrations folder. The migration files will be run in order of their file name. The file names should look like this. That's right. Yep, yep. Exactly. So it knows exactly what order to run it in. And so that would be sufficient enough for that to work, right? So now we have that one described. This one's pretty straightforward. I don't think it needs a description for it. And so now we've described our mage tasks. I'm just trying to think if there's anything else that we haven't described yet. We're not talking about deployment or packaging, things like that. I don't really want to think about that. But you can see that we have a lot of moving parts to our application. But I feel that we are now in a really good spot to actually start building it. So I think this is where, again, we're going to stop. And I'm going to, well, first I'm going to do my commit. But we'll stop and then we'll actually get to implementation, okay? So we'll go back over to here. And it's because I renamed the file folder, which is not the best. I should have done these in separate commits, but I'm going to go back here. And we're going to go ahead and just checking my watch here. I'm going to go ahead here and stage these. And we'll say updated tech spec backend to define all possible JSON responses. Also defined mage tasks and define more about the database. So now we have that there. We're going to go ahead and commit this. So we'll go ahead and hit commit. And we really should push. I'm going to push this here. Oh, it's being really silly. I don't want to do it that way. But maybe what I can do, if I have it open here, this is the new one. I know I'm kind of using a mix of things. It's a little bit of a mess, but I work on a Mac. I usually don't work on a Windows. But what I want to do, I don't know why these two are here in here, but I'm going to go ahead, maybe because that's what we were doing earlier in class. That's probably why. I'm not sure. But I just want to open up terminal here. I'm just getting terminal. I'm just going to try to get a terminal. I'm just going to get push. Okay. So yeah, it's a mess. So if we have get smart, we have this with that. Get smart's not fully configured, but if I do get it configured, it'd be a lot easier. But yeah, you can see I'm a little bit messy. I apologize. But anyway, we're going to stop the video here. And so we now have full backend tech spec, right? It's fully detailed, at least at this point. And so now the next thing we need to do is get our implementation going. Again, I don't know anything about Go. Like, I know what GoGen is. Obviously, we figured out what Mage is. I've worked with lots of web frameworks. I know that these things are really good at producing Go, but Go is a hard language to work with because it doesn't use classes, it uses interfaces, and it's statically typed. But let's see if we can figure it out together, and I'll see you in the next one, okay?